southern Dravidian culture which were made hostile to each other. This kept the Hindus divided and is still a source of social tension. Second, it gave the British an excuse in their conquest of India. They could claim to be doing only what the Aryan ancestors of the Hindus had previously done millennia ago. Third, it served to make Vedic culture later than and possibly derived from Middle Eastern cultures. With the proximity and relationship of the latter with the Bible and Christianity, this kept the Hindu religion as a sidelight to the development of religion and civilization to the west. Fourth, it allowed the sciences of India to be given a Greek basis, as any Vedic basis was largely disqualified by the primitive nature of the Vedic culture. This discredited not only the Vedas but the genealogies of the Puranas and their long list of the kings before the Buddha or Krishna were left without any historical basis. The Maghid period, instead of a civil war in which all the main kings of India participated, as it is described, became a local skirmish among petty princes that was later exaggerated by poets. In short, it discredited the most of the Hindu tradition and almost all its ancient literature. It turned its scriptures and sages into fantasies and exaggerations. This served a social, political and economical purpose of domination, proving the superiority of Western culture and religion. It made the Hindus feel that their culture was not the great thing that their sages and ancestors had said it was. It made Hindus feel ashamed of their culture and that its basis was neither historical nor scientific. It made them feel that the main line of civilization was developed first in the Middle East and then in Europe, and that the culture of India was peripheral and secondary to the real development of world culture. Such a view is not good scholarship or archaeology but merely cultural imperialism. The Western Vedic scholars did in the intellectual sphere what the British Army did in the political realm and discredit, divide and conquer the Hindus. In short, the compelling reasons for the Aryan invasion theory were neither literary nor archaeological but political and religious and that is to say, not scholarship but prejudice. Such prejudice may not have been intentional but deep-seated political and religious views easily cloud and blur our thinking. What impact does the Hollow Earth understanding have on this issue? The impact that it has may be found in one of the best places to hide anything right under our noses, in the Puranas themselves. The Puranas tell us that at the end of the Kali Yuga, Vedic culture becomes regenerated from the interior of the earth, after the Kali avatar brings the Kali Yuga to a close. This is not the only reference to the Hollow Earth in the Puranas, but it is the one which indicates the origin of the Aryans, Caucasian race, on the surface of the earth. The Caucasian race can easily be seen to stretch from northern India to Scandinavia and to European Russia. How far would it be from the Arctic coast of the Siberian and European side of the polar basin to the opening suggested by several Hollow Earth researchers, which is offset from the North Pole just above the New Siberian Islands? See the oval on the map in Chapter 7. A hop, skip and a jump no more than a few hundred miles. So, how difficult would it be for the Caucasian and, of course, other human races to reintroduce themselves to the surface of the planet from this particular opening at the end of every Kali Yuga? It does not seem that it would be so difficult at all. In addition, the fact that the Caucasian race is so light-skinned in northern Europe is indicative of a top-down migration. This is because in the Middle East and India, the race has a light tan complexion. It is easier to go from a light complexion to a darker complexion, while it is harder to believe that darker-skinned Caucasians migrated northwards, then became sun-bleached to their present blonde-haired, blue-eyed state. The genes which generate their complexions and blue eyes are passive. Therefore, we can't surmise that the Caucasians are not Caucasian in origin but rather that their surface migration began in northern Europe, along the Arctic basin, from the polar opening to the Hollow Earth. The reader may keep in mind that in millennia past, these areas were not as cold as they are now. As an example, we'll note that Viking graves from 1,000 years ago have been opened up in Greenland, and it was found that roots, at that time, had penetrated the coffins. Now the graves lie under permafrost. This means that, previously, vegetation existed in the area and that there was a different climate. In addition to the large, polar openings, there are said to be tunnels which connect the surface of the planet with the hollow portion. Nicholas Roerich, for example, in his book Shambhala, wrote of his travels through Tibet in the 1920s, through the Karakoram Pass in the Altai Mountains. He was shown caves closed up by boulders, and he wrote of passing over what seemed to be hollow areas by the echoes from the horses' hooves, and wrote of a current recollection of the hollow earth in the collective minds of the Tibetan people. Therefore, any cyclical reappearance of Vedic civilization and the Caucasian race could manifest from at least 2 points which span the length of the Aryan presence on our earth, from top to bottom. The Caucasian presence in northern Europe could be explained by migration from the polar opening, situated above the New Siberian Islands in the Arctic basin, while openings and tunnels in the Tibetan region could account for Caucasian presence also, even down as far as the Indian subcontinent. India and the Hollow Earth. No Caucasian migration into India is necessarily indicative of an introduction of Vedic culture. Aryan insertion into any given area, India included, could have simply reinforced already existing Vedic culture without having been an introduction. It is not a matter, really, of accounting for the Aryan presence in the Indian subcontinent. Rather, it is a matter of accounting for human presence on the surface of the planet after the end of every Chatur Yuga, and the Hollow Earth theory explains this admirably well in conjunction with the appearance of the Kali avatar and regeneration of the surface population from Shambhala and the Hollow Earth. The Hollow Earth theory certainly strengthens the Puranic account of a cyclical repopulation of the surface of our planet from the Hypercube, the hollow portion, including its chief city Shambhala, and suggests that what is past will one day be prologue. In this way, the Hollow Earth theory offers an intriguing alternative to previous interpretations of the Caucasian presence in India, otherwise known as the Aryan invasion theory. Source 7. Tilde big props and shout out to 1 trillion. The Hollow Earth theory view zone. The ultimate woo-woo. Part 1, Introduction. One concept, and potential bombshell of a game changer, has always stood out. It did so by stealth. Hollow Earth just pretended to be another loony idea that, some people just seem to get a kick out of. Only after looking at it in detail and absorbing the available information did I realize how much it actually means. Would mean. Apparently, does mean. And it can only be true or false. There is no middle ground, only hollow ground or solid ground. The range of the implications of the Earth being hollow are important. Hugely, massively, important. They go as far as explaining dozens of anomalies that surround us. All freaking kinds of parallel, alternative, weird and conspiratorial ideas. In a word, woo-woo ideas. Ideas which are becoming mainstream, and not that it matters what a majority of any kind thinks or what opinions it holds. The masses are dark, doesn't matter in the larger scheme of things. This first part about the ultimate woo-woo intends to synthesize as much as possible what one has to look at and know about to get a basic idea. There is also an emphasis on visual evidence in this introduction to the hollow Earth. I can tell you right away, this is going to be a little irritating. Why? Because, while sifting through a lot of material, and trying to condense it into one conveniently sized article, it became larger and larger, and the chances for a manageable, readable article became smaller and smaller. They say something to the effect that the more for our claim, the more solid the evidence, for it has to be. In one sentence, solid evidence for the hollow Earth, please. The ultimate irritating mystery and legend. This takes the biscuit. It is growing with the hollow Earth thing. There is just so much data in so many different disciplines that most people who get into this in a serious way either try to write a book about it, or actually get around to write and publish one. Several articles out there on the web touch on the main points, and they are all on the rather long side. You can fill a small library with books about the subject. So, take it from me, there is no short and conveniently catchy way to present the evidence for the hollow Earth. Less so, if you add the fact that the Earth is hollow and it is growing. That's right. We have a hollow and expanding Earth under our feet. Apparently. Yes, it is yet another deeply irritating mystery. Sorry for the cognitive dissonance, I am still tuning my web piano. Several authors have done a thorough job at combing through the evidence. Just as an example, one writer and researcher has a bibliography of some 50 Arctic expedition books in this piece of 450 pages, and he gives these most diverse and astounding anomalies a cold and hard look. This author, Marshall B. Gardner, sent a copy of A Journey to the Earth's Interior, or Have the Poles Really Been Discovered, to the US government in 1920 and challenged them to refute it. The feds haven't gotten around to it yet, and it was a few decades ago. The bell rang a long time ago, if you ask me. One single article with most of the points that indicate that our Earth is hollow ellipsis points that sounds a lot easier than it is done. You end up writing a freaking book, or an endless piece of an article that you, the reader, might not have time for right now, while I don't get paid for it right now, actually, ever. The ultimate heresy. So here is the solution. We saddle the horse the wrong way. We just assume for 10 minutes that the Earth and all planets are obviously hollow in nature, and inhabited, at least in the case of Earth. We then deliver the evidence and documented observations as proof to those asking for this proof that the Earth is in fact a hollow sphere, and not a nice, solid, slightly flattened sphere around a progressively cooling liquid core, or flat. One more thing, before we get into the subject for real. If it is true that the Earth is a hollow sphere, and inhabited by beings who are by all accounts much superior to us, then it means that the implications are staggering. It is hard to think of bigger implications than the hollow Earth. It changes everything. It is the biggest and most direct game changer I could find in the field of alternative science. It is like coming around a corner and there you see Bugs Bunny, Santa Claus and the Pink Panther playing poker. Looks like they did not tell you something important. Very irritating. It would also mean that the hollow Earth is the best kept secret of all the many well-kept secrets that are kept somewhere. In the woo-woo corner, for example. The totally bananas wing, where they keep those flat earthers. So here we go, hurry up and wait, and eventually, there you are. The ultimate woo-woo idea, only a few centuries ago, was that the Earth was a sphere. You know, a roundish thing, a big marble in space, made of mostly rock. It was, of course, a flat surface, as everybody could check out for himself, with the oceans around the land masses ending a seaman's, already tough, life in a free fall into the abyss. It is said that those keeping the real shape of the world a secret did so, because it was good for business, and it kept curiosity in check. Good for certain business, and a check on inconvenient curiosity. This way, insisting that the Earth was flat, nobody knew where the highway was, and kept plodding along country dirt roads. Physically, mentally and spiritually. The ultimate secret. This hollow Earth thing is the best kept secret of them all. If it is not true, it is not a secret. Aliens by the dozens who are milking us and mixing with us genetically is absolutely mainstream when compared to the hollow Earth. But only the inclusion of not yet mainstream cosmology like the quantum vacuum, the electric nature of the universe, the fact that gravity is not at all explained, and a good dose of pattern recognition eases the way into the hollow Earth zone. Actually, if you stack the two against each other, which model explains the observations a lot better than the other, the clear winner is hollow planets, including our Earth. It will take some time to explain it all, which is why there is some space reserved for more parts of this article. Fast forward to 2010, where the proverbial woo-woo topic, one that causes your otherwise still somewhat presentable reputation to make a big sucking sound, is the hollow Earth dig. It is definitely on top of the list. The concept that the Earth is a shell, a couple of 100 miles thick, with two polar openings that connect inner and outer surfaces, an inner sun and ellipsis points. Check this out, ellipsis points, intelligent life. Really intelligent life, not like us cat hunting, weapon-wielding primates with an inferiority complex, but really cool, intelligent life that, in a word, knows how to have a good party at the right times. Yes, of course they live inside and know how to get out quickly, too. Through the polar openings, for example. Those got them going about these cool flying discs, and the rotating fields helped, too. Jupiter is hollow with an interior sun. Look at this brilliant light shining at the pole. Let this roll around in your wallet for a second. It used to be the most freaky concept around, and only seconds ago when measured in earthly civilization's time. All sorts of immediately handy arguments were storming you, before you could even get halfway through the points you wanted to make. Back then, about the Earth being round. You were actually burned at the stake, and it was not fun. Switch back to the hollow Earth of today. Woo and you say, through and through, complete nonsense and dash impossible and dash we would know about it and dash give me a break and dash they can't keep a secret like this and dash what about the satellite photos and dash what about gravity and dash what about